Hi folks, my name's Peter and this is my introductory video to the vinyl community. For the last 2 or 3 months I've been watching quite a lot of the VC videos and really enjoying them. So I thought I might try one myself, see how I get on. So let's start with a bit of background. I'm 59 and I live in West Cumbria on the northwest of England. I suppose I got into music quite late compared to a lot of my friends. It would have been 1973 when I was going on for 15, and I had no real interest in music before that. But upon hearing the Dutch band Focus, when they had their hits with Sylvia and Hocus Pocus, that set me down the road of becoming a music junkie. I went straight into the sort of the prog genre, and that's still probably my main love, but I've since expanded into all sorts of music. So let's get started properly. I was originally going to make this a video where I pulled out 10-12 albums that were a big influence on my listening habits, but I've bought so much over the last 2, 3, 4 weeks that I've decided to go through my recent purchases, and you'll probably see from those the sort of music I'm into. There's so much that it might take more than one video, so I think I'll start with the brand new purchases, and then maybe in a second video look at the ones I got from Discogs and from a recent record fair. So let's start off with a fairly obvious one, and that is the Beatles, with the Beatles. This is the recent D'Agostini reissue, the multi-part magazine. From my original collection of Beatles albums, I had 2 studio albums missing: Hard Day's Night and this one. And Hard Day's Night I picked up about a month ago, and this, when I saw it in the local shop, I decided I've got to get it. So not much else to say, it's the Beatles. The second album is a local band, and this is Kon-Tiki Suite. This is their debut album from 2012 on Sunset Lake. It originally just came out on CD, but this year they've reissued it on vinyl, nice yellow vinyl as well. If you like your cosmic Americana sort of country with a bit of a psychedelic twinge, a la Birds, Flying Burritos Brothers, you'll love this. You wouldn't believe that they're from the north of England. Next up are 3 albums that have been a part of the Record Collector magazine's rare vinyl issues. The first is Bobak, Johns and Malone with the album Motherlight. This is from, I think, 1969, and is great sort of fuzzy, ethereal psych. It's featured heavily in, I'll just show you this, a book that anybody into psych should probably be getting, and this is one of their 101 albums that are iconic underground rock albums. anybody into psych would love this. The next one is by a band called Flare. Now this was, I think, 1970 or 71. It's sort of jazz rock in the sort of Chicago vein, but with quite a funky edge from the rhythm section particularly, and some great guitar and keyboard work. Well worth having. The third one is a split album by Papa Ben Hook, and on the other side, Museum. Love those, love that cover. Now these were never released, and it's sort of early prog with a sort of jazzy bent to it. Both bands sound very similar. I think that's why they work well together on one album. Worth having. Next are 4 releases from one of my favourite labels of the last couple of years, and that's Svart from Finland. They release a lot of albums themselves which seem to be in the metal vein, but they also do superb reissues of Finnish prog and jazz fusion from the 70s. And they were having a sale, so I picked up 4 albums from them. The first one is by a guy called Jukka Hauru, a guitarist, and the album's called Information. Sorry if there's a bit of glare on there. This is in the sort of it's in the jazz rock vein with a bit of like Zappa type jazz in there, Hot Rat sort of type, with some quite quirky humour. Well worth having. I keep on saying that, well worth having. The second one was another album by Jukka Hauru called Episode. Now this is a bit different from the first, in that it probably goes more down the Eurofusion sort of area, less of that quirky Zappa influence on this one. I think after this he did some more work with some other bands, but I think he gave up playing in about 1979, which is a shame because he's a really good guitarist. The next 2 are by the same artist again. They're by Jukka Gustafsson, who was the keyboard player and vocalist in Wigwam for about, I think, the first 4 albums that they did. And this is his first solo album. Now I'm not going to attempt to finish, it's a long title and I wouldn't be able to pronounce it correctly. I'll show you open this one up and show you what it looks like. That's the inside. As I said, Svart do an excellent job on these albums. Often if they were just single sleeves, they make them into gatefolds. And it comes with a booklet with all the details of the recording, usually half in English and half in Finnish. Go. And then there's obviously another sheet with all the details on. Now this is totally instrumental. It's a concept album based on a biblical theme, but because it's instrumental, don't let the biblical theme throw you. It's sort of in that sort of, how do I say it? orchestral, neo-orchestral jazz fusion vein. Chamber rock maybe, so it might be a better term. It is excellent stuff. I'll just put that in. The other one is his second album, and this is called Valon Vuoksi. Sorry about the pronunciation. This one is slightly different again from the first. It's totally instrumental again, given that he was a vocalist in Wigwam. And while the other one incorporated orchestra and about 23 musicians, this is a smaller group. Sorry, I'm all over the place here. This is, I think, more challenging than the first. It's based on the 4 seasons, this one. A common theme for a lot of bands. But it's shorter tracks, but they all flow seamlessly together. That's Svart. It's probably going to be worth doing a video on Svart, because I've got a lot of stuff from them, and they're well worth looking into if you like prog and jazz fusion. The next album is Offa Rex, the Queen of Hearts. Now, one of my very early loves was electric folk, from the British electric folk from the 70s, Steel Ice Band, Fairport Convention, the Albion Country Dance Band, etc. And this is sort of like an homage to that era. It's a project between Olivia Cheney, a singer-songwriter who I've not particularly heard of before, and the Decemberists. Decemberists a few years ago brought out an album which I thought was the album of that year, Hazards of Love, and this is brilliant stuff. It sounds like the early Steel Eye, Fairport, and they even do a couple of numbers like that Steel Eye did, like Black Lake Minor, and a version of Sheep, Crook and Black Dog that they describe as Black Sabbath meets Steel Eye Span. Excellent, excellent album. The next one is by Kikagaku Moyo, and it's called Stone Garden. Now, Kikagaku Moyo are a Japanese psych rock band. They've done a couple of albums and a couple of EPs. This is an EP, just 4 tracks. They're a superb band, and if you get a chance to see them live, they're even better live than they are on record. They incorporate a electric sitar player, though it's sometimes difficult to tell what the guitar is playing and what the sitar is playing. But it can be sometimes quite folky, but other times it's right out there, blow your mind sort of psych jams, which this one seems to be. The next 2 are releases on the Spanish Wah label, an excellent reissue label. And the first is J.B. Banfi's Galaxy My Dear. Now, Banfi was the keyboard player in the superb Italian prog rock band Biglietti per l'Inferno, Ticket to Hell. This is in the German kosmische electronic music vein, In fact, the quote on the back says, "I consider you the best electronic musician composer of my time, including myself," and that's from Klaus Schulze. So it's very much in that vein. In fact, the album I've got after this, he actually joined the Klaus Schulze's IC label and was produced by Schulze. Well, again. The other one on Wah Wah, again in the electronic Kosmische vein, the sort of Berlin vein, is Didier Bocquet's Voyage Célèbre. This, I think, it was his second album. Again, influenced by Schulze and Tangerine Dream, but with a more of a French feel to this that takes it towards maybe Richard Pinnis's electronic stuff, etc. Excellent. One of my big loves is krautrock. I've got quite a lot of that stuff. And when I saw this, I just had to have it. This is 2066 and Then. This is, what a beautiful cover. This is sort of heavy prog more than the experimental type of krautrock. This is sort of like in the vein of maybe Atomic Roost, some of the Bacillus label acts such as Message. But this is, I think it's in the Freeman Brothers Top 100 krautrock albums, and it is a classic, a must-have. It was originally a single album. When it came out on, I think on CD, it was a double with some demos, etc. And this is on the Missing Vinyl label, and they've done it as a double, with the second disc being some of those demos and live tracks. Absolutely classic, must have if you like your krautrock. And finally, because we're nearly 20 minutes in, one of my favourite bands of all time that I just love, 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 and that is Magma. And this is the 1974 live show that they did for Radio Bremen. This is a bit of a cut down, stripped down band lineup for Magma. There's none of the core choir backing vocals. Stella Evander isn't on here, so it makes it sound a little bit different, particularly Mechanic Destructive Commando, but it is superb. The vocals are handled solely by Klaus Blasquith and Christian Vander. Side 3 is taken up with just one track called Chorus 2, which is basically a 20-minute drum solo. We're talking Christian Vander, so it's brilliant. I think I'll leave it there for now, and I'll probably have to do a second video, hopefully, with the other purchases I've made. I hope you found this interesting. Please comment and let me know. Any constructive criticism will be welcome. And if you think anybody else would be interested in seeing this, please pass on the link. Thank you.